Your free will has a great impact on the events that occur in this world. Free will is the essence of the problem that has occurred within India. Let us explain. When the pandemic began throughout the world, different nations chose different ways of handling the pandemic. The United States of America chose to ignore it at first, but it became evident that such could not be ignored. And despite very unwise political decisions that were made in order to look good, America still took the actions necessary in the long term to at least mitigate some of the effects of the pandemic. Other countries were not as wise, and this shows you now what can happen. For you are seeing in India what would have happened in the United States if nothing had been done. However, before you who are English speaking and so happy of your heritage start saying, "We did great," look to the east and you will see that the Asian countries and a few others fared better than you did because they used proper contact tracing and testing. That is a place where the United States of America totally failed. So the United States is still playing catch up to some countries. But while you have had an exceeding number of deaths, we tell you that had you done nothing, had you been in the position that India is in at the moment, if you had only 2 or 3% of your people vaccinated and you had continued with no real contact tracing nor testing, you would have already lost 2 to 3 million Americans. They would have died of COVID-19. Make no mistake about it. This was political damage you did not need to suffer. God did not send a disease on you. Your disease was unleashed through natural means. And faulty politics and foolish politicians compounded the damage done to you as individual families, individual people, and as a collective nation. It is truly that simple, that awful, that real. So how do you avoid these things? You avoid these things by having love in your hearts and working for the good of one another rather than the good of the individual self. It has been too often throughout the ages that politicians have sought puny and useless power for themselves and privilege at the expense of the people. And this is now occurring. You see it when people put party over nation. And you see it when people put nation over world. So, how do you fix something that is so horribly broken? It can only be fixed by fixing heart, but that sounds so impractical. So we tell you this: when you look and you see people whose hearts are driven by the wrong purpose, the practical fix is the ballot box, and you remove those people from office. When people say there is no systemic racism, remove them from office. When people say there is no global warming, remove them from office. When people say education does not matter, remove them from office. You want to have your politicians and your religious leaders make decisions that benefit you, that are for your welfare, for your children's good and benefit. If you allow politicians to make decisions limited by narrow religious view, narrow racist view, and self-interest, then you are not just harming yourself. You are harming your children and your children's children, their worlds, their chance, and their opportunity. You, as parents and grandparents, are stealing from your children and your grandchildren when you do not invest in the future. And when you say, I've got all I need, we do not need to make change. Change is life. Life is an evolutionary change, and if you are not willing to change, you are not truly living life. You are amongst the dead, of whom the Christ said, let the dead bury the dead. Be not amongst the dead. Rather live, for life is for the living. So now we tell you this: if you would live, then look for those who promote the future, look to the future, and work to build the future. It is not those who would give money to the rich, hoping it would trickle down to the poor. And it is not those who would say, oh, racism is a horrible problem, let us put together a committee to study it. It is those who will do something and do it now. It is those who will see that the sick have the medication and the medical care that they need. It is those who will see that the homeless are sheltered. It is those who will see that the hungry are fed. It is those who live by the virtues and the values of the religions that they would claim. And all of those religions are based on mercy, compassion, and love, of which most of you have none, while you claim to be Christian, Muslim, Buddhist. Oh, you thought we would leave the Buddhist out? How many Buddhists do you know sitting in their wealthy little spots, not worrying about the hungry or the homeless, and doing nothing to help mankind? Just look at Myanmar. You think one religion is better than another? Religions are nothing but modalities of worship. The only true religion is love. And if you lack love, you do not have religion, and you do not have God. We leave you with blessings and with peace. Peace be with each of you.